Okay, people. So it's another festive chin check for you. And today we are graced with the boss lady herself. Yes, that's right, people. We got Heather standing in the house. Heather, thank you very much for stopping by. Really appreciate
Yes,
that. How are you today?
I, I am doing great. I'm busy. I got a lot going on.
I can
As
imagine. I can definitely imagine. I
yes.
thought we were done, right? I
Me
thought I
too.
went Submission Underground 19, and I was just like, oh my god, this is so good. Like the event was like the lineup was great, right?
Right.
Just on its
Yes.
own, the lineup was great, and
hmm
then you have the craziness with Cowboy and RDS,
Oh
which
my
you're
God.
just like, wait, what? What is
Yeah.
happening? They're coming back?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, what did you think when all of that was happening?
Oh my God. Well, so what's funny about it is that at the show, I'm in charge of handing out the athletes checks. So when they
Right.
get out of the cage, they want to come see me because I have their money. And I had my purse and my jacket. I'm ready to make a quick leave after the show. And I walk out as Ishii and Fowler are getting out of the cage. And my other boss, Kevin, who is the announcer actually, he points at me and he goes, "Hey, do you know what's going on?" And I said, "No." And he says, "Oh, we're doing RDA and Cowboy again." I said, "What?" And I said, "Okay, I didn't know that because I get to watch I watch the show on a big screen in the back,
Right.
but there's no audio because Chael is a few doors down.
Oh,
So there's
right.
no I get to watch it in silence. So I haven't even watched the playback as to what he even says. But obviously we win again. So even I don't know what's going on sometimes.
No, so
Obviously.
it was crazy because after the match and then in the in between while Chael is building the next, right?
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I think, wait, hold on. Oh, so supposedly Cowboy said he'll run the match again, like the
Yeah.
whole match. And
Yeah.
he's just like, no, I don't want that to happen. I kind of feel a match is a match and blah, blah, blah. And just the way
hmm
Chael sells it. And like
Oh, he's so good at what he
is
does. Yes.
Chow is
Yeah.
great at selling it and then the podcast and all of that. But
Yeah.
there's nothing else, right? So
Yeah.
he's kind of said, oh, Cowboys down, but I don't want this and blah, blah, blah. And then after the Ishii Craig fight, it's like, oh, wait, hold on. They're coming back. They're going to rerun the overtime set. We're like, what
Yeah.
is
I need an
happening?
earpiece too. I need one. I'm like, what is happening? Uh, yeah.
So as they ran it again, was that two checks you handed out?
You know what's funny is that Cowboy comes up to me after the show. He'd been calling me Ma all night. And he comes up to me, he's like, "Hey, Ma, I heard there was another check." And I said, "You got to talk to the big boss about that." And he goes, "I'm not leaving until I get the check." I said, "Well, I'm leaving." So I don't know what happened in that, but I walked away from that one. I'm like, I don't have that money. So, but it's funny because the fans loved it obviously because they felt a certain way with the stoppage or whatever, and obviously RDA probably did too. But it was so funny the next day. Somebody on Twitter kind of came at us sideways, and they're like, "Hey, you can't be doing that when you have betting odds on the line." Because they're like, "What if RDA lost the first one but won the second one?" And I went, I didn't even think about that, because I don't do the betting and stuff. But they're like, that can mess up the books. And I'm like, oh, I know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what you do in that situation. So
hmm.
we
I,
learn.
yeah, it's a weird one because, like,
Yeah.
is like, do you actually? I would kind of say you don't have to worry about that.
Well, I would think that the second match would have been a definitive thing, anyway. I mean, I think that would have been like what they, like, basically, in my opinion, they were scrapping the first match to have a
Yeah.
definitive answer on this one. So, but I can imagine if someone, if RDA had won the second one, people might be pissed off about their cowboy bet. I don't know.
Yeah, but yeah, no,
But
but that's what Charles said. He was just like, okay, so the first overtime essentially didn't happen. So this would be it. It's not a
Yeah.
second fight.
Yeah.
It's just the overtime redone. So I kind of feel that it doesn't affect the betting at all. Like you just kneel the first one and go, all right, this is it.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably what I would have had to have said. And I'm like, well, you know, I'm happy that Cowboy wanted to do it for the fans. You know, I'm happy that Cowboy wanted to get back in there. I know that RDA probably appreciated that, you know, at the moment. So yeah,
he didn't seem RDA didn't seem irritated after the fight or anything like that. He didn't look like he was a sore loser or anything. It all seemed cool, right? And
it's interesting because online, you know, there's been all these clips floating around about did he tap, did he not tap, and it's a very it's probably about 75% that he tapped and 25% that he didn't. It's really interesting to see the different people weighing in, from fighters to jiu-jitsu people to, you know, just the general public. You know?
I mean, you can get what RDA is saying, but he did tap. That motion is a tap.
He was pitching, so it was this way, but it's like, well,
it's still the tap.
If you're gonna push all the way, not boom boom. You know?
I feel you need to do something to show, or say to the referee, I'm pushing. I'm not or something. Right. But it's kind of down to you to like separate those motions.
Let his arm get snapped off? Oh my God! We have a phone call from somebody. Good Lord! You know? So, it's a tough position. I feel bad for the ref. He's in a thankless position, you know.
But it's kind of nice that we had clarification over everything in that night.
Immediate clarification. Yeah, that was
because
nice.
The Mason Craig one situation that was 3 events. Was that? Or was that 2? I can't remember if it was exactly the next event that they ran it back. Was it the next event?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, we immediately did it. The next event. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We had to. You had to, you know. So, and he tapped on that next one. Thank God.
Yes.
Thank God. I'm like, please, God, make it definitive. The internet hates us. They're still mad at us about Craig losing. I'm like, we didn't do it, you know. People love Craig Jones. They really do. And he's got a cult following, you know. So
it's just the crazy style he's got.
Yeah.
You know, like he sits down straight away and just welcomes the person in. You're just like, wait, what are you doing, Craig?
But you know, but the argument to that is people get mad. They're like, Mason's not engaging. And I'm like, well, just because Mason doesn't choose to sit down, I mean, is that wrong? You know? I mean, so.
Yeah, you don't have to. Right? That's the kind of thing. There's different approaches, there's different styles. So it's kind of, just because you want them to come to you, they know how dangerous you are. So they're not gonna just jump into your guard and do that.
Well, I think it was Submission Underground 3 or 4. We had Uriah Faber in there with Paulo Miyao, one of the Miyao brothers.
Mm-hmm.
And the world watched the Miyao brothers sit there and literally butt scoot across the cage.
Yeah.
As Uriah is jumping over one leg and the other leg. And I'm like, I mean, you know, he wasn't disengaging, but he also knew that that's not a good strategy for him to dive into that, you know. And everyone's strategies are different, but yeah, it's you know, but this is what Chael wanted with Submission Underground, is he wanted to see the MMA fighters versus the jiu-jitsu purists. And, you know, Mason, he's an MMA fan. He was an MMA fighter before he got into, you know, to the jiu-jitsu route. Yeah. And so we're seeing that actually play out right now with the Mason Craig stuff, you know. And that actually leads us to this event on Wednesday. A lot of people are saying that Bader's just going to take the belt and run, and maybe he will, but that, you know, who knows?
Yeah. No, I think because Mason doesn't do MMA anymore, does he? I think he's just, and I think that's the thing. right? Because when you're splitting your time with the training,
yes,
you can't focus on these new developments as much, right? So, you know what I mean? Like, I think if Mason was doing MMA, it might be a little bit different, but because he's just focused now on jiu-jitsu, we're just seeing this crazy game.
Yeah.
You know, like the way he adapted against Ishii was just great. Because at first you could see him trying to do something and be like, oh, I can't move him. He's just way too big. Okay, I need to do something else.
Yeah, he's a heavy statue, man. Yeah. Yeah, I saw him and I went, oh, I don't think that Mason's going to be able to neck crank him. I was like, good luck with that route, you know. But, yeah.
So when did you find out that you gotta do another event?
So it's so funny because I left the venue, I left Snug Island on Sunday, and I said, I don't want to hear from any of you people until like January 2nd, you know, give me my vacation, you know, because these shows are sometimes 2.5 months in the making. I mean, this one we have been working on since October 4th, so it was 2.5 months of work, and literally Monday, I got a flurry of text messages from Chael, saying, hey, I don't have a lot of time, but we're doing a show on the 30th, and I need a card matched right away. You know, call me for details. What? You know, like the number one question that people usually ask me in podcasts or interviews, whatever, is what's it like working for Chael? This is what it's like. This is it. This is what it's like. I literally made this poster that said, the Chael that stole Christmas, you know? Because he did, you know? It's like, I told him yesterday, I said, I heard something about holiday pay. No, he takes very good care of me, and I spoil him in the promotion. I mean, you know, we got to get it done. You know, if they want to get it done, we got to get it done. So I found out Monday afternoon, and it's so funny. I was supposed to be traveling, actually. I was supposed to leave Oregon yesterday and travel for the holiday, and I had actually canceled the trip a week prior, not knowing any of this, but thank God I canceled it, because I looked at Chael and said, dude, you want me to perform a miracle on 9 days, you know? And he, you know, he's a busy man himself, and, you know, sometimes we collaborate on the card and sometimes we don't. Sometimes I'll message him and I say, hey, I need this UFC fighter's phone number, and he gets it for me, and that's how that goes. But, and then there's matches that he wants and whatnot. But I'll tell you what, Ryan Bader, we must have gotten asked for him by 10 different people. They're like, I want Bader. And it's like, why Bader? You know, couple people asked for Anthony Johnson, but yeah, everybody wanted Bader. He was a very hot commodity for this next card, and we're like, if we're gonna bring him back, it has to be for the champion. It has to be. So
yeah.
But and he's great. He's such good people. Nicest guy you ever met. I mean, him and Cowboy are cut from the same cloth. I mean, they're just good people. You know, they're competitive and they're fun, and they're nice and polite and everything, and they get the job done, you know, and that's all you can ask for. You know?
Yes.
So,
yeah, definitely. So with like how long did it take to put these matches together? Because it seemed to happen I remember just being on Twitter, I forget, I was looking for something, and then all of a sudden I see this poster, and I'm like, wait, what? Wait, it says the 30th? And in my head, for some reason, I thought, oh, next Sunday. Right, okay, next Sunday. And I was like, wait, next Sunday?
Well,
no, that doesn't work. Wait, I looked at the calendar, I was like, wait, that's Wednesday. What's happening here?
No, I was like, what? No, you and I had the same reaction. Yeah. You know, when he messaged me, it was like noon on Monday. and I told him, I said, look, I'm not going to be home for a couple hours, but when I get home, I will, get on it. And we wanted to keep it quiet. We didn't want to publicize it yet. And so that means I was sitting in my car. I wasn't even home yet. And I called Mason. I called a few area coaches that I know really well. And I started messaging people, because literally it wasn't even about whether or not they wanted to do it. I just needed to know if they could do it.
Yeah.
It's like, because we have, Christmas and New Year's, in the middle of Christmas, at least in the middle of all of it. And it's like, a lot of people, some people would be surprised, but a lot of people actually said no. A lot of people declined and said, I'm going to take some time off. I'll see you in 2021. And as irritating as that is, you still understand it. I'm like, I wanted time off too.
Yeah.
So I get it, and there's some people that, pass up opportunity, and there's some people that just are like, yes, I'm ready. Who is it? When is it? And some of them don't even care. They're like, when? Tell me when, I'll be there, And I called those people. I called a lot of those people, and I was like, are you available? Yes. Chael, once we figured out that Mason was available and we locked in Bader, we had a main event, which is what we needed, because I said, I got to get a poster out. We have to advertise.
Yeah.
But we don't want to put a poster out unless we have a main event, right? And with Bader came his teammate, Dalloway. And we love having Craig on the card. Everyone loves Craig. UFC Fight Pass loves Craig. And he's a great representation of the sport, no matter what. And for some reason, by the grace of God, Ishii asked for him, which is funny to me, because people are like, a lot of people are going, oh my God, what'd you do? Poor Ishii. And I'm like, no. He asked for him. You know what? If someone asks for Craig, you have to respect that, because that's a big ask, And not only that, but it's like, they had, Ishii was in town before the last event, and Craig brings himself in from Puerto Rico, right? And they actually did some training together before the event. So that's what's funny to me, is I have a picture of them posed together. And and Ishii, Craig was as surprised as I was. He goes, he asked for me. I said, I swear, and Craig's like, well, yeah. Ishii's no slouch, obviously, and we saw, no one expected Mason to win over Craig. You just never know, and when that cage door shuts, you don't know. So between those three matches, and we would love to have Boogeyman probably every single show. He's just such good people.
Yeah, every time I see Richie compete, it's just pretty, it's just, I think it's the movement, because I remember listening to a JRE, and Eddie Bravo was on, and he was explaining to Joe, he's just like, oh, I've got these break dancers coming in, and man, they're picking it up so quickly, and then just watching some EBIs and just seeing Boogie and his brother Gio just and doing their thing, and it's always so dynamic, and the way the flexibility is just mind-blowing. It makes my hips cry every time I see them put on a rubber guard or something, right? It's just crazy. So it's
tall,
always fun.
Angly. Yeah, he's a tall, angly, or gangly, or whatever. Just a unique spirit, a unique soul, and he's such a good sport. Win or lose, he's great, and he wants a challenge, and he's specific, he's very, I'll ask him, what do you want? Who do you want? And, and he's very specific, and that helps, for matchmaking. I appreciate that. And so I actually am bummed out if we don't have him on the show. I just really enjoy his presence and him being on the card, but, So we offered him Dalloway, and Boogie is always looking for someone that he might not get if he went to a local tournament. You know, if you go to a local
Yeah.
tournament, eventually at tournaments or Pan Ams or wherever it is, you know, you cycle a lot of the same
Yes.
types of people, a lot of the same athletes and whatever. And we at Submission Underground, you know, offer a unique setting in that you're going to get people that you wouldn't get normally at those tournaments. And so we offered him Dalloway, and it was through text, and it was almost an instant yes. He's like, yes, I'm there, let's do it. I'm like, awesome. And so we had 3 headliners, and I told Jayla, I said, I'm working on a poster right now, and we put out that first poster, and I knew once we did that, the rest of the card would fall into place pretty quick. You know,
Mm.
people like our platform. They like, you know, they like the fact that, you know, we are on UFC Fight Pass, so there's a good presence there, you know, for them, for, you know, being recognized, you know, to the
Yeah.
masses. And you know, and some end of year holiday pay doesn't hurt anybody right now. So, you know, COVID's hit people pretty rough, you know, especially the athletes, you know, and the entertainment biz. So, you know, it's a win-win. You know, if you're ready, it's a win. So, yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine that Gillian Robertson was a pretty easy get. She always seems that she's happy for a scrap.
You know, so I'll tell you what happened with that. That was really funny. It was Christmas Day, and I tried to leave Chael alone since it was Christmas. But when people don't leave me alone, I'm like, hey, you know. I actually had messaged him at like 10 o'clock in the morning about something, and he wrote back, he's like, I can't take the call right now. Some big fat man tried to break into my house. And I'm like, okay, I get it. All right, you got kids, you know? But, you know, at 10 o'clock that night, I was like, hey, you know, Pearl Gonzalez, she
Mm.
messaged us on Instagram and said, hey, I'd be honored to be in your show. Boogie's my coach. You know, I don't know why I never made that connection before, but I hadn't, if I'm being honest. And she's like, you know, my coach is competing. If you have a spot, let me know. Well, as it turned out, I only had 1 spot left on the card. The rest of the card was filled. And I was actually
Oh.
trying to fill it for somebody else, but I kept kind of running into roadblocks. And I was like, you know, I can't pass up Pearl.
Mm.
If she's available and she wants to, let's run it, you know. And so I told Chael, and I instantly thought of Jillian because she was such a down competitor, you know, with Amanda when we brought her in a couple shows ago or a few shows ago, and she's awesome to work with, and of course she's just no quit, you know. And she's a black belt, and Pearl told me that she just got her brown because I thought she was a purple belt. But she says, no, I just got my brown belt. And I said, okay. I said, well, I have Jillian. And she's like, let's run it.
Nice.
So at that, once I got that confirmed, I'm like, we have a full card. So thank God. You know, Chael said to me yesterday, he goes, how did you pull this off? And I said, did you expect me not to? I mean, I'm affected by that question. No, it's fun to work with him. So,
Have you got to this place where you know, you kind of, you know, as they say, you build it and they will come, you know, that you can just get people. You've got a Rolodex of people who are like, whenever your next event is, give me a call.
oh yeah. We definitely have. You know, it's so funny because our early shows had like anywhere from 16 to 22 matches. I mean, it was an all-day event, you know. It was
Yeah.
like we'd be there for 6 to 8 hours, you know. And we had everything from kids to teens, you know, whomever, you know, a lot of local presence because we were having live shows and everything. But you know, it kind of went in waves for a while because we weren't doing our shows every month
Yes.
like we are now. You know, I mean, I think one year we only did like 2 shows for the year, so we had to find our stride, I guess. And you know, Craig became the face of our organization in a way, you know, and that helped bring a lot more attention just in the jiu-jitsu crowd. A lot of people had kind of I think we're starting to sum up our event as kind of a WWE style MMA based kind of event, and just kind of wild. And it was uncomfortable. It was uncomfortable for the jiu-jitsu crowd going in. What is your event? They couldn't figure out what our niche was, and I understand that because we were kind of all over the place trying to figure it out ourselves. This is our 20th event coming up, and we've been doing this since, I think our first show was July of 2016. And obviously a lot of those shows were this year. I think we started off the year at like sub 12 or something. I don't know, but
it was 11. I think you started 11? With 11, which was just
11.
Crazy. You just think like now we're at 20. It's just like what?
Yeah. So you think, for 3 years or 2.5 years, whatever. We did 11 shows and we've done 9 this year. So we're finding our stride. We take good care of our athletes. We definitely try to, and that helps. Chael obviously is a chameleon. He can work in whatever world you sit him down in, and he's worked really hard to make sure that we can call in those favors that we need to, and we can get the names like Cerrone, and we can get those kind of people. And then, with Craig's presence, like I said, we're getting the attention of some very high-level jiu-jitsu people. We had a lot of names float at us. This event alone, Kanan Duarte, he's obviously well-known on the jiu-jitsu scene. Everyone is yelling at us about getting Gordon back. Nikki Rod, we get a lot of bizarre requests because of the MMA jiu-jitsu aspect.
Yeah.
And so Nikki Rod's like, give me Yoel Romero, give me Romero. And I'm like, I'm kind of intrigued,
That would be interesting.
Yeah. So it's kind of we're getting our own respect in the fact that we can do something, we're given a platform to do something that no other show is doing. And people like that, there's money to be had. It's entertaining. It's a great platform with UFC Fight Pass, and it's an interesting dynamic, and so we're finding our stride. I'm hoping that next year we're going to bring back tag team jiu-jitsu, which was something that was fun, exciting.
Yeah, that was a thing. Last year there were a good few of those matches, and it was just like, oh, I wonder if they're going to do more this year, and it's just the year became what it was. So like as soon as the world shut down, you're just like, tag team ain't gonna happen, right? Because that's too many people in the cage. Too many
bodies in the cage. Yeah. Well, it was, we had a really weird dynamic. Everyone did. With COVID, it was all these our first event after COVID hit was with Carlos Condit.
Yeah.
Roxy was on the card, and both Roxy and Carlos had pulled out because of COVID, which understandable, not that they had it, but they were, it was scary world, to even play in. And that's the other thing is you find some people care about that and some people don't. Some people, the world's divided, right? So of course the athletes are too. So, the first couple of shows, it was like everyone has to wear long sleeve everything, which, you can't touch in the cage. Like you can't slap hands in the cage, but then you're going to grapple. It's just,
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense when you think about what's going to happen.
Right. We have a cage side doctor, he takes everyone's temperature and does all that kind of jazz, and he's been the same doctor we've had the whole time. We do everything we can to minimize, so the other thing is we're not allowing any coaches or corners or girlfriends or boyfriends or whatever. It's strictly the athletes and staff. That is it. And some people don't care, but some people are like, who do I have to warm up with, or, whatever. And so that's been a bit of a struggle a little bit, it's just been a stretch, and obviously, Sug Island is a very secretive place. And, people are like, I didn't know you had islands in Oregon. I'm like, yeah. Yes, we do. Actually. So, it's an interesting dynamic. We actually had talked about well, and I'm pretty sure it'll happen, but because they're interested, but we had hoped to have Gio and Boogie on a tag team. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I was always wondering because we see
yeah,
Boogie all the time, and I'm thinking, what about Gio? Could we get Gio
yeah.
fight someone? Because I'd love
I
to see that.
I don't know why we haven't brought Gio in yet because it's long overdue. It's very long
Mm,
overdue. But Chael announced, that yeah, or mentioned it to Boogie, and Boogie's excited. He's like, let's do it, and we were gonna have them go against the Healy brothers, actually, Pat
yes.
Healy, and yeah.
Yeah.
So
Chael, I
we had
think
some
Chael
conversation
mentioned
about it.
it on his podcast. It was
Yeah.
either the podcast or one of the in-between little
Uh-huh.
segues in between some matches a
Yeah.
couple of events ago or something. You're just like, oh,
Yeah.
I want to see that. I want to see
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, and the hiccup on that, because we actually were gonna do tag team, like a couple shows ago, and the hiccup on that was that Pat Healy could not. It was in the midst of all the forest fires and everything was going on and whatnot. And he's a
Right.
firefighter, and it was just
Yeah.
it just wasn't going to work out. And so we kind of RSVP'd it, or rain checked it rather. We just kind of was like, okay, we want to do that, but not right now. If you recall, at SUG 11, yes, that was the tag team match with Bame and Vinny and Craig and Nikki Rod.
Yes, the one where Craig didn't compete and it was just Nikki in there.
Oh, yeah.
And then everyone was just like, what's going on? Grant wasn't attacking, Craig didn't fight, what's happening?
I was so mad at Craig. I was so mad at him. I'm still slightly mad at him. No, but we joke about it sometimes. Yeah, what a nightmare that was. And it's so funny because now in hindsight, you sit there and you go, oh my God, did Craig have COVID? And we didn't know it because that was in January, I think. I mean, so yeah, it was before COVID hit, So, who knows? Maybe he did and we didn't know it. But yeah, so it's kind of crazy to think about that stuff in hindsight. But no, that was the one where Chael was like, oh, 25 grand, and everybody was so excited about it. And then all of a sudden you realize that when there's 25 grand on the line, people don't want to lose that. So it's not as exciting as you would hope it would be. I was standing on the sidelines and I was so pissed, because tag team jiu-jitsu was my baby. That was my idea. I'm the one who told Chael about it and said, we need to do this because we were having our events at that venue, and Saturday night we would do amateur MMA. And
Okay.
it was loud, and there was beer, and people were like, woo, having a good time, like they do at fights. And then the next day we would have Submission Underground, and it was like a library, because people are watching the technicality of the situation, and they're focused and they're learning, and you can hear the corners. I mean, it's just a totally different vibe, And so I told him, I said, we used to do tag team jiu-jitsu at some smoker fight shows a while ago, and a lot of people enjoyed it. The fans got excited, they got entertained by it, and it was fun. And some people kind of thought it was a little silly, but it still was entertaining, and that's what it needs to be. And so I was, that night that Vinny and Bame won the trophy and the money, I was so mad. I said, you guys just took something that I loved and ruined it, And they're like, we just made 25 grand. I'm like, fair enough. But, and, in Craig's defense, he actually had told me, I think 3 or 4 days prior to the event, he said, hey, Heather, he goes, I've been sick. I'm still coming. I'm okay. I'm still going to be there, but I just wanted to let you know, I just haven't been well. And I was like, okay, I'm a matchmaker. All I heard was, I'm still going to be there. Okay, cool. No harm, no foul. I mean, if I'm just being honest, I'm like, okay, cool. I didn't know that meant that he was going to be there and then not do anything, and you almost have to feel bad for Nikki Rod in that moment too. Cause it's like, Nikki Rod's great, but you got Vinny in the cage, and I thought Vinny was going to punch him. I'm pretty sure. At one time, he almost did. A picture of Vinny like doing this, and I said, "What is that all about?" And he goes, "I told him if he grabs my neck like that again, I'm gonna punch him." I'm like, Vinny doesn't play, but yeah, it was no. So anyway, I am hopeful that we'll bring back tag team jiu-jitsu next year, and without that kind of money on the line.
Okay.
I say that, but who knows what Chael will do? Who knows?
What
He override
about
me.
yeah? What about team events like quintet? Have you thought about adding that?
It's been brought up. I mean, I don't know what the hang up is about it. I just don't think we're excited about it. I think the part of the problem with quintet, in my opinion, I'm not speaking too much for Chael on this, but like in my opinion, um, we were doing shows, like I said, at the venue, and we're trying to not only have pay-per-view sales, but also have seat tickets,
Yeah.
And if you have 10th Planet versus Dan or her Death Squad or whatever, then you're only really getting those two groups of viewers, and then, some others, you're going to have some people that are interested regardless. But, a big thing is like, it's, you have fans that follow certain people, and obviously it's always the hope that you can have people that are just fans in general that want to watch, and they're not watching because Gordon Ryan's on it or Craig Jones is on it. But there is something to be said about that. So it just hasn't been a focus. Our focus for the longest time was just filling up the arena and, like UFC would, and and then hoping that our views online work. And so the more different types of people that you can throw in there, the better. So, yeah. That's just some marketing 101 there for you. So, yeah.
Okay.
The boring side of business.
These things, yeah, they have to happen, right? You've got to get bums on seats, otherwise events aren't happening.
Yeah. Well, that's just it. It's like, you got to cater to a certain level of interest, So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think Chael, obviously he's aware of the quintet style, but it's never been a focus of ours. So we're doing the tag team thing, and we're also doing the MMA versus jiu-jitsu as much as possible. And he's happy.
So. Have you thought of incorporating some combat jiu-jitsu?
We would love to, or at least I would love to. I get asked that a lot, and there's a few people that, are really good at slapping, and there's a few that need to be slapped.
There's Pearl. Pearl was real good at the combat jiu-jitsu. She seemed to be hit it like a duck to water.
Oh my gosh, it's there's just some names that come to mind when I think about it. But so the problem is that in Oregon specifically, as with probably most states, maybe, I don't know, but Oregon does not regulate jiu-jitsu here. They regulate MMA, kickboxing, combative sports. And if we do a combat jiu-jitsu event, we have to bring in the Oregon State Athletic Commission to oversee it, and it changes everything. Right. Because it's now considered striking instead of just wrestling,
Okay.
So, yeah, that's the difference, and that's the reason. That's like the sole reason why we have not. Is that they do not currently regulate our sport, and as with most people, you don't want them to regulate the sport. Too much government in the business, But yeah, so if we start striking, then we have to deal with, just a lot of variables, and for medical and ambulance and commission, et cetera, et cetera. So more boring behind the scenes stuff, but yeah, it's not going to be happening for a long time. So if ever.
Okay. But, I mean, that's fine because, the matches, they've all been fun regardless. So,
Yeah. And I mean, if something happens, like when Jake Shields tried to smack up AJ, then we can't control that. So, so if the hand slips, that's not on us. So, that's what I say. Didn't see it. Didn't see it, didn't authorize it, everyone's okay. So.
Okay. So have you got plans for Amanda's first defense?
No. She actually has been a tough person to match. She's fluctuated a little bit in weight. It is considered an open weight absolute championship, but women don't like to agree with that. Men are like, okay, when they're like 200 pounds. But women are usually not at that weight class, and they are more comfortable with the range. Amanda fights actually as an amateur fighter at 145, so she's a featherweight base. And you add some quarantine and out of fight camp, you're looking about 155, 160 max. I know that her last opponent, Felicia Spencer, was we don't do weigh-ins at our events. I will say that, so that's something to know in this discussion. But we do not do weigh-ins at our event. Shale doesn't believe in weigh-ins. I roll my eyes because it drives me nuts. But he's like, in my day, anyone, anytime, any weight. You don't even ask about what the weight is. You just show up and fight. Well, great. But not really. And some people are fine with it, and other people are like, I want to know specifically what that person weighs. And I've done a few phone weigh-ins like before the events to accommodate those people, but no. And so I don't know what Felicia Spencer weighed last Sunday, but I do know that she looked like she was about 15 to 20 pounds heavier than what Amanda was. Yeah. Amanda still got the win, and so there was no argument over anything. We tried to do an agreed upon range, so to speak. I always ask the females for a range, because if you tell me you'll only compete at 125, then I'll probably tell you, let's do another show sometime. Because I just don't have that luxury. A lot of people, especially during quarantine and with the gyms being closed, people are not staying in prime shape that they would want to stay in. And so I always say, give me a range, because it's like, if you want something specific, it's just going to be a lot more work to do it. And and right now obviously we don't have that time. So but yeah, as far as Amanda goes, I know she's hoping for more of a jiu-jitsu purist opponent. We've been throwing MMA fighters at her, Jessica I and Felicia and Jillian and whatnot. She had Aaron Hurl a couple of shows ago, and that was a good match. But there's a few people. There's a couple of people I thought about. People have been yelling at me to get Danielle Kelly in there, but I think she told me she was like 120, 115, 120, and she had stated that she had gone up in weight before, but she wasn't really wanting to do that anymore. So, Yeah,
she's not huge, Kelly.
Right.
But oh God, who was it? You had a ladies' fight at submission. Oh, was it 18?
With Kendall.
Kendall,
and
yes.
Leah.
How about Kendall?
She's heavier. She doesn't even like to say that she's 185. She likes to say that she's open weight. And Amanda's really looking for like a max of 160.
Right.
So yeah, so it's kind of that's my struggle. I've talked to why am I forgetting her first name? Canuto, Raquel Canuto, I think is what I'm thinking of. But she's a UFC fighter, so it's still that fighter angle. And so I'm trying to find who is those jiu-jitsu purists that we can put in there against her. So we keep getting fan questions, and everyone says, bring in Mackenzie Dern. Not opposed to it, but yeah, so just hasn't happened.
Yeah. I can't think of it. The first name has just escaped me, but I think it's Saint Marie. She won the combat jiu-jitsu belt
Right.
last time out, and
Yes.
I in her post-fight interview, I think she was just like, my coach keeps on saying I should go over to MMA, but maybe not quite yet. So I mean, she, I don't know what her weight was.
I don't know either, but that's funny that you said that, because I think it was Amanda's coach that said something to me about that girl. And I admit, and everyone pretty much knows this, but I came from the MMA world. I only got dived into the jiu-jitsu world because of this promotion. And so my knowledge and my expansion on the jiu-jitsu names are not as much as they are on the MMA side. So I'm learning. But yeah, I know. I asked him, and he told me, yeah, her first name escapes me now too. But yeah, he told me about her. So
Yeah, she looked
we're
great. Her guard game was, whew, it was very good. It was very good.
yeah,
I get
yeah.
her against Amanda that would be a fun one.
Amanda likes to go into overtime with these ladies, and I keep wondering if we're going to see an upset. And I'm not trying to dethrone Amanda. She's amazing. Obviously, she's undefeated in our organization. We actually saw her in a tag team match, and she holds the record for most subs in a tag team match. She's phenomenal. She is Oregon's first black belt, so she's pretty phenomenal. But yeah, I don't know if we'll see an upset like the whole Mason Craig situation for her in 2021, but that's my next challenge, because we are well, I thought our next show was in March until this one happened. But I am told that our next scheduled show date that I knew of is in March. And I think we have, again, about 9 shows scheduled. So it's going to be a full year of Submission Underground. You're going to hear Chael a lot.
Well, March does seem like a long way away. So I'm kind of glad we got something coming on Wednesday.
To me, I'm like, that sounds like a month or 2 vacation. I'm good. No, I left my plush day job right before COVID hit to pursue working for Chael full time, basically, and
nice.
He has not disappointed me. He keeps me busy. And when he said March, I went, March? And then when he said December 30th, I went, whoa, wait a minute. March was fine. I think he wanted to thank you, but I don't know. So.
How did you come on as the matchmaker? Because you've been the matchmaker since the Giddy Up, right? So,
yes.
And you work on Roseland at the Boulevard, is it?
No. Rumble at the Roseland.
Rumble at the Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, I get it. Don't even worry about it. Yeah, I get it. No, so I've been in MMA since like 2008, 2009. And so I've been in that scene since then. And in 2015, Kevin Keeney, he's the announcer that you see in Submission Underground, but he's also the business partner.
Yeah.
They went to college together, I think, or school together. They've known each other for years, Kevin and Chael. And Kevin was the matchmaker and announcer for Rumble at the Roseland. And they've been doing that since 2001. That was their baby. That was their promotion. And so he hired me in 2015 to take over as the MMA matchmaker for Rumble at the Roseland. And then a year later, I get a message from Chael in typical Chael form, an email that basically says, hey, Head, he goes, everything that you're doing right now for Rumble at the Roseland, like, we're going to start a grappling promotion, and I want you to do that for, this grappling promotion, Submission Underground. And he's like, is that cool? And I said, yeah, because you don't say no to Chael, I'm like, yeah, of course. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. And honestly, it became too much doing both. And so I actually left my position as the MMA matchmaker and Kevin took that back over. And basically Chael stole me. So I work for Chael pretty much. I still do work for Rumble at the Roseland, but only on a more behind the scenes assistance, graphic design marketing person. So I run all the social media accounts for everything and whatnot. So yeah.
So so how did you kind of get your jiu-jitsu knowledge to start making these matches?
A lot of trial and error. Honestly, I actually owe that a lot to the area coaches over here. Like I said, we had a pretty extensive undercard, with like 16 plus matches or more. And luckily our community really rallied around us, and they were excited. They wanted to see, this event happen, let alone bringing jiu-jitsu to a bigger stage, which is what Chael said. It's like, people want jiu-jitsu to be a mainstream sport. Well, then you got to put it on a stage that people watch. And so we originally were with Flow Grappling, and so that's obviously a huge stage as well. But it just I needed a lot of help. And so I called on the coaches that I built relationships with already for MMA, and we just started making matches happen. I mean, and some of them were not great, and some of them were awesome. I mean, sometimes, the athletes obviously make the match, but as far as the main card goes, Chael pretty much handled the main card for quite a while. Just because I mean, I handle social media, so I would see what people were asking for and what they wanted. But, I mean, when we had, I think it was Submission Underground 3, we had Chad Mendez and Jeff Glover in the cage. I don't know if you saw that one, but when people ask me what my favorite match was of Submission Underground, that's the one. Like, even going that far back, that's the match. And the reason being is because, if you remember that match in the overtime, Jeff Glover jumped up and was celebrating. He thought he had won. And the crowd was going nuts because, here's this jiu-jitsu amazing all-star Jeff Glover, and he's like, I beat this guy, blah, blah. And Chad's competitive, and Chad, had read up on the rules, and Jeff did not. And we went and did another round or whatever, and Chad ended up winning, and Chad celebrated that victory like he was in the UFC cage. It was amazing. It was such an amazing moment. And Jeff was like hanging his head, and he was like, man, And but why that was such a favorite match of mine was because it was truly a definition of what we wanted. We wanted the upsets. We wanted the MMA fighter versus jiu-jitsu, player. That's what Chael wanted.
Yeah.
And so to see that play out, it was like, this is what we want to happen. This is what we want to, people to see, is that even though Chad Mendez might not be Jeff Glover in jiu-jitsu, he can still win this, And so, it's been cool to see those matches and to start, the more knowledge I've gained, getting the names in there that we want in there for jiu-jitsu. It's been a lot of research, a lot of homework. I'm not ignorant to jiu-jitsu by any means, but I definitely did not know who the stars were, obviously. And to be fair, Chael didn't necessarily either, I mean, we didn't, it's been a learning experience, Kevin. It's been a very big learning experience, Gordon and Gordon's been in our cage a couple times now, and people keep wanting us to bring him back, but I'll tell you what, Chael loves him some Craig Jones. And
yeah. But I think Gordon was tied up on an exclusive for a while.
He signed something with, I think, Third Coast or Who's Number One or something like that. He did sign some contract, but it was not exclusive, actually, because he was boasting about the fact that it was not exclusive. It was like a 6-match contract or something, but it was not exclusive, which I thought was kind of crazy, because I would have made it exclusive. if I was the one writing up the contract.
Yeah.
But no, he's very much publicized his issues with our promotion, and that is basically the short of it is he does not like the 5 minutes.
I was gonna get on to the time because there are some of the matches, and you're like, oh my god, it's so back and forth and it's great, and you could see people working, and then time, and you're like, no, I want more time. I need more time in the main event. What's going on? Like, overtime is great. I love EBI overtime because it just adds that new flavor to it. Because you got the right time to submit.
Anything can happen. Yeah.
You know, and if you called your toss right and you go second, you can still pull it out. You can still pull it, and we've seen that. And that's so the overtime is great, but 5 minutes. Like,
so literally, that's easily the number one complaint we get. You know, even as much as people love to hit our refs, that's the number one complaint we get is the minutes. And Shayla won't budge. There is no budging at all. Now, I will say this. We used to do 8-minute matches, I believe is what it was. It might have started at 10. I think it was 10, and then it went to 8, and then it went to 5. For like our first couple years, we were playing around with that.
I did think, I was like, I swear the matches were longer.
They were. I want to say they were 8 minutes. I could be wrong, but I think that they were 8 minutes is what they were. And then our tag team matches were like 8 minutes as well. But and we haven't changed that. That's still 8 minutes, which is kind of funny. but so we were with Flow Grappling, as I said, and these events were like all day events. I mean, 6 to 8 hours. We had like 20 plus matches on them, like you'd see with Fight to Win, you know, a very similar style like that. And then we went off on our own on Chael's YouTube or whatever for a few shows there, and then we picked up with UFC Fight Pass. And it's been my understanding and my explanation is that our TV time, so to speak, is 2.5 hours. And that's a huge cut in time, and that's not to complain, but it is a very big difference, you know, than what we were accustomed to prior when we had longer matches. So if we put 10 matches on the card, there's been times where we've gotten really close to that cutoff time. And so we have talked about making the main event 10 minutes or making the main card longer, you know, in general. The main card one, I don't like that merely because as a matchmaker perspective, I'm going to have people saying, I don't want on unless I'm on the main card because this is a 10-minute match, you know. So I see a lot of argument for that. And then if we do just the main event and, you know, if we have 2 championship matches, I feel like we have to make both of them, you know, at the same time, if that's the case, like we just had for Amanda and Mason. And so I'm not opposed to a main event, you know, being longer. But Chael hasn't budged at all on it. And I'm making an assumption that that's pretty much why. So our time just doesn't allow for it. So, and not only that, but he, you know, as he says, he's like, some of these matches are boring, you know? I mean, it's just what it is. Some of the matches are boring. Do we really want to have people changing the channel or whatever because, you know, it's a boring 10-minute match, you know? So it's kind of, I mean, but we had someone suggest at the last show, which is so Chael, I could see it happening, and it almost did basically, but saying like, if the match is good, having Chael say, let's add 5 minutes, you know, if both people agree, you know, which is kind of what we did with RDA and Cowboy. And kind of happened, but I think that'd be kind of cool for the fans for Chael to go, should we run it again, you know, and everybody online's like, yeah, let's do it, and the fighters say yeah, and we go for it, you know. But I mean, we really don't offer win or lose pay, you know. Our pay is flat, so it's like, you know, so strategically it's not, you know, that way. But
yeah.
Okay.
I have to say, I do understand, right? Because yes, sometimes you get a long fight and it's kind of, neither want to fully commit because they don't want to get caught. And so it's very
Yeah.
strategic and
Yeah.
you get a flat match,
Uh-huh.
which happens in MMA. You have times when you think
Yeah.
this fight is going to be incredible and it kind of
Mhm.
cancels itself out. So it's always hard to know exactly what you're going to get. So the 5 minutes, like it does. And the thing about the 5 minutes as well is when you get that late submission, and you're like, oh, it looks like it's going to go. Wait, oh, is it up? Oh, it's still on fire. You're like, yes, incredible. And it wraps everything up. And you're like, oh. So
It's
there is that.
bittersweet. It's bittersweet. But a lot of people love to hate Mason because he beat, Craig, and they say he's stalling or whatever. But you have to think, like a couple shows ago, we had Mason versus Vinny. And they didn't go to the ground for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And people were like, this is, just yelling at us, all sorts of things, and it's like, okay, well, did you want to watch that for 10 minutes? So it's a bittersweet, up and down thing that we just kind of have to, the short answer of it is we just have to have it that way right now for our TV time. So.
Yeah. I mean, that's cool. That's cool. Like the biggest thing that gets me sometimes though is like differentiating. Like when you've got people you don't know, like there's certain people, like I could pick, Don Stoner out of a lineup. You say, oh, that's Stoner. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
But there's some people and they could look very similar. And then they come in like black rash guards, black leggings. You're like, wait, who's who? Which one is which?
Yeah.
Is there a thought of maybe, right? You say to people, okay, you've got to have like a colored rash vest. We don't care what it is, but it's got to be a color. And then the other person, you and black.
Yeah. We actually had talks, so it actually came up when we did the tag team match with Vinny and Kyle and, about having, this corner blue, this corner red, right? So we were going to get them all custom outfits. And it's like, first of all, the time crunch, by the time we thought about that, it was way too late to make it happen. But the other problem is like, I think it was Craig that said, well, I want my shorts to be a certain way because these ones are too restrictive at this length or whatever.
Right.
And so now all of a sudden we're having issues about material versus length versus, whatever, and people, well, can I still wear my sponsors? And now we have to get their logos and get all that ironed onto whatever outfit we buy. And so it was just proving to be a nightmare, and accommodating the athlete as well as what the look that we were trying to achieve. So I did notice, and I actually keep forgetting to ask Kevin and Shale about it, but I did notice that when I was looking at pictures from this last event that the females had on different colored ankle bands. Did you notice that? Yeah, I'm not sure why that is. I'm not sure if it was because both their outfits were dark or what the deal was, or maybe they wanted that, or maybe the ref wanted it. I don't know. But I noticed that their match in particular had that, and I'm not sure. I was going to ask about that and find out why, because maybe we do that for every match, but I don't know. So yeah, there's a lot that goes, there's so many things that go into, making this show, fan friendly, watching online and listening online and then making the athletes feel like they still have, and we don't want to do the whole Reebok deal, like we don't want to piss off people and do the Reebok thing.
See, that was one of the big things I liked the Reebok deal because you could work when there's fighters you don't know, you were like, okay, so that's thingy because they're in that color. So it made it easier in
as a
that
fan,
regard.
it's great. Yeah, the fighters hate it. Yeah. Yeah, you can't please everybody, as they say. Yeah, I know. Well, it's funny because Chael, he's watching and he's commentating or whatever, and I do his, I give him like just the basic details and stuff, like a little cheat sheet, for each person and whatnot. And he says to me, he's like, can I have a picture of them with those notes, and I'm like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, that would make sense. You know, because he needs that too. He needs the visual of who the person is. You know, is that Dawn Stoner or is that, you know, whoever? You know, yeah. So yeah, so Chael has that problem too.
Well, I'm
So,
glad it's not just me.
no. And I was trying to think of how we could do better on our stream as to differentiate. I think all we have right now is blue corner, red corner with their names. So yeah, and maybe we put those same pictures up. I don't know. So
Yeah, maybe, or just like, you know, like the leg bands, or you could give them
yeah,
an armband or something. Like it doesn't
something.
have to be anything too egregious. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Just all right.
No,
Make
that's
one
good
person
feedback
shake their
though.
head. You know, that could
Yeah,
work. You know.
yeah. Can you color your hair before the show, please?
I mean, you always know Chris Leone, right? When
Oh,
he's fighting.
oh my, yeah, you always know. Yes, we know even when he's not fighting. Believe me. He mentioned combat jujitsu, and I said, "Oh God, who first?" I have a lineup. I have a lineup of people wanting to do that. People love to hate that kid. Yeah.
He wasn't very happy after the last fight.
No, he was not. And you know, I have to know that I've known him since his debut fight. His first fight was with us at Rumble at the Roseland, actually.
Oh.
So I've known him he was with us before Submission Underground even started.
Okay.
And you know, he trained at Chael's gym, and so we go way back with him, you know. And obviously he got the Bellator deal, and now he's a free agent. But yeah, I mean, he was really upset over that match. Kind of came down to the whole thing about not having a weigh-ins. You know, he had been priorly booked with 2 other 10th Planet guys that pulled out last minute on him.
Yeah.
One of them had caught a fever and was concerned about COVID, and he actually ended up not having COVID, but regardless, he did pull out, and which I appreciated. And we tried on like literally 3 days notice, we tried to have like 6 other people, you know, commit to this match, and we kept on getting no's and no's and no's and no's, and the weight was too much or whatever. You know, Lencioni really wanted to have a match that was a max of 160 ideally. You know, he's a 45er. And it came down to 2 guys, and one guy was a 185er and one guy was Andy Varela. And Varela had obviously previously competed for us in the 10K tournament at Sub 15, and a few other times since. And he's a great guy. He's awesome to work with as well. And obviously 10th Planet Las Vegas. And when I messaged him, I said, hey, I said, what do you weigh? You know, and he told me, he says, I'm about 172. And I said, okay, cool. And I told Lencioni, and he reluctantly agreed to it. He wasn't thrilled about it, but he agreed to it. And obviously we don't do weigh-ins, as I said. A lot of people put it in his head that Varela was like 190 pounds. And so there was a lot of back and forth before that match even happened, a lot.
Oh, damn.
And, you know, with me and Lencioni in general, with me telling him there's no way you know, he fights at 155, but he's not 190 pounds, I assure you. And anyway, and he shows up, and he's 5'11" on paper, but you know that he was insisting. Lencioni was insisting that he was 6'2" and 190 pounds, and so when he lost in there, he immediately blamed it on the weight, said there was lies that happened, and you know, all this kind of jazz. And we kind of went back and forth on it because I don't want to be called a liar as a matchmaker. You know, that's important.
Yes.
You know. And as it was, you know, just because of all the chatter online about it, Varela actually went home, and mind you, this is the day after the event, after he's eaten everything else, and he weighed himself, and he was 173 pounds. And I'm like, so, you know, let's see how he lost. We'll have him back. You know, we like him. He just he felt a certain way. So it happens. It happens. We try to have a fun-loving show, and people, you know, people react the way they do. So It is what it is. Never a dull moment. Never.
No, I mean, that's the thing. It adds a little something to it all, you know?
It
when it's
does.
said and
It
done.
does. Well, I'll tell you what, he posted on Instagram that he wanted a new opponent basically, and I had so many messages from people saying, I'll take him. And these people are, almost 200 pounds, unfortunately. I had one guy who was in our 10K tournament, and he says, I'll take him. And I said, you are like 185 pounds. He will not take you. So, yeah. So, weight classes are fun.
Uh,
As
yeah.
a matchmaker, it's a lot of fun. So,
Okay. All right. So 2021. Okay. I'm
yes.
gonna put out some names, and you
Okay.
tell me the likelihood that they maybe hit an event.
Okay.
Okay. So Ryan Hall.
Oh, I would love for that to happen. I'm pretty sure that Chael has discussed that as well. His name comes up a lot. Yeah. That's a high likely. Yeah.
Okay. How about Kenny Florian?
K-Flow.
Yeah. I think you might be able to get the kid back in action.
You know what's funny about that is that our first show had not even happened yet. And Chael had just emailed me about all that stuff. And Florian's name was the first name that I ever got in my contacts list from Chael. And he says, hey, I need you to message him and tell him the details of Submission Underground. And I'm telling you what, Kevin, I sat there for like an hour before I emailed him because I was so nervous. I was so nervous about it. And as it was, he didn't end up competing for us. And I don't know why that is. And I'm not sure why it hasn't happened since. But yeah, he's been talked about since day one. So maybe.
Okay.
Maybe. I don't know if it's us or if it's him. I don't know. I don't know if the ship sailed. I have no idea. So that's a maybe.
Yeah, no, that would be fun. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree.
Uh-huh. Okay. Oh, good. I had a few people in mind and just blank. Now I've got blank. Like Amanda Hebas. I think her up against Amanda could be fun.
Yeah. I mean, I'm open for all suggestions on that. I mean, but yeah, I mean, I don't know what it's going to bring us for Amanda's opponents. I mean, that's highly likely. I mean, you could spout off Mackenzie Dern, you could spout off Gabby Garcia, and I'd probably say highly likely because I don't know yet with Amanda. I don't know what that looks like.
I mean, I'd love to see Grace Gundrum against her, but
I would love to too. She just got her black belt, yeah.
Yeah.
And she was in our I don't remember what show that was, but she was in our show as a teenager, of course, and I would love to have her back. Absolutely, yeah.
And she is just. Man, she's a killer.
She's
And
that
just
generation
no
that we all
emotion.
talked about, that generation we all talked about. We're starting to see those people come up, and she's one of them. It's exciting.
Mm.
Yeah, I'd love to have her back. Absolutely.
Okay. All right. 2021 is, that is looking
Almost here.
interesting. It's looking interesting. Brian
Yeah.
Ortega.
Oh gosh. Yeah, I would love to. Isn't that T-City? Is that what they call them?
Yeah.
I would. That would be fun. That'd be. We get asked a lot about the Diaz brothers. That's like one that we get asked about a lot, and that'd be fun to bring them in. And I think the reason I reminded myself of that was because I think his name's been mentioned against one of the Diaz brothers. But yeah, people want to see. It's funny because people are like, we want to see these two fighters, do jujitsu, and so they automatically think of our show because of Chael,
Yeah. Like, what is when you're trying to get MMA fighters?
Yeah.
Right? So because it's like I can imagine if you have to check if they've got a fight with the promotion.
Yes.
First.
Yes.
So
Definitely.
It's kind of like and like there's Cub fought in Quintet last December, ripped his, I think he tore his ACL. So this December was his first fight back. And
Yeah.
they're often that fear. Like you hit people up and they're like, I'd love to, but don't want to get injured.
Yeah. So it's funny that you mentioned that match. That match, although it was not ours, has kind of haunted us a little bit this year because admittedly the UFC specifically has been a little, even though we're on UFC Fight Pass, they've been a little hesitant to give us anybody that they might have planned for this next year. A lot of people were asking us what happened to Derek Lewis, and that's probably the quickest thing I can say is that's what happened, is that we went, we don't really want you to have Derek Lewis. We need him. It's somebody, oh, God, I'm going to get in trouble for saying this online, but somebody, I'm just repeating what somebody else said. Somebody else called our organization the grappling bare knuckle, basically. So it's like when the fighters are done with their careers, they go to our show.
Oh, that's harsh and not true.
It's like they got me. It's like, should I just look at the roster of who Dana White let go this year? I mean, come on, So, we are lucky in the fact that Chael plays well with both the UFC and Bellator. I mean, he's, like I said, he's that person that can go in between both successfully and work for them in that capacity. And so we get to have the Ryan Baders and we get to have, the Cerrones on the card, et cetera. This is so horrible, but Dillashaw came to mind, right? Because he was on suspension. Anytime a fighter goes on suspension or he's let go from the organization, we get tagged every time. It's like, oh, UL Romero, okay, Pettis, okay, or when Jones was on his umpteenth, suspension, okay, get John Jones, It's like, well, maybe we don't want them. No, of course. No, people like to matchmake for me, and I appreciate it. I pay attention to it, but yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it just depends. But Jillian, obviously, she's coming off of a fight from a few weeks ago, and she had to check with the UFC basically, and make sure that she was good, and they said yeah. So, yep.
Nice.
And I thought Pearl was actually still with the UFC, and I guess she's in Invicta now. So
yeah,
so that kind of worked out too. We didn't have to worry about her checking with, so whoever.
So, just what, fighters like Megan Anderson. She might be someone for.
Yeah, she's come up a lot too. Yeah, she came up. Came to mind when we brought in. When we brought in Jessica, her name was mentioned. Yeah, we brought in Jessica I. So. Yeah, people like her too. It's I do a lot of Googling about UFC fighters and their belt levels in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, I think she recently, oh gosh, I want to say brown. I think Megan
I think so.
got a brown belt.
Yeah, and I try really hard to get only black belts in there with Amanda. Jessica I is just a badass, and so that's how that happened. But that's we run into that problem. Like I think Chael announced Anthony Johnson as a black belt, last weekend, and I was like, oh, okay, since when? Because you ask Anthony what his belt level is, which we had a reporter ask Anthony that when he competed against Craig. We would have public events, and I heard the reporter ask him, and he says, "I've never been belted," and he's like, "Well, if you were," and Shayla was like, "He's a black belt." I'm like, "Okay," by default, you're a black belt. Channel always says that we want black belt or better, and I said, what does better mean? He goes, like Bellator or UFC or something like that. We want black belt or better. So I consider Anthony Johnson a or better. So as an example.
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah, me too. That's how
So
we matchmake over here.
yeah. Will you be doing gi matches next year as well?
Yes, absolutely. You know, it's always my intent, whether it happens or not is, you know, yet to be seen sometimes, but it's always my intent to have at least one gi match and as well as at least one female match. You know, if I
Mm.
don't have either or if I don't have both of those, then I usually hear about it from somebody. And I understand that, you know, it's like we're not trying to be a strictly no-gi organization. It's just that a lot of people are more apt to request no-gi, and we actually changed our forms online, our applications to say, tell me what your preference is, because I want more gi matches in there, you know, and it's just a matter of finding those people that want to do that instead of no-gi. And right now we're getting a lot of no-gi requests, and so that's just the way it happens. But
Mm.
yeah, no, we're always open for gi matches, definitely. The fans love it, and I like the difference, you know, the different change in there. So, and I didn't think we were gonna have any female matches on this card because usually they're not the easiest to put together, and on short notice I didn't care, you know, honestly, to work too hard on getting this one out the door. And we had two great female matches fall into our lap, and so here we are. But yeah,
Yeah, that
sometimes
is
this is how
a
it goes.
yeah, it's a great match. That is such a good match. I'm
Hmm.
very much looking forward to
Well, I
that
don't
one.
know if you're familiar with, because I admit that I was not, but Kristen Mickelson is on the card, and I'm not sure if I'm familiar with her, but she's Satoshi's girlfriend, and she's a black belt. And Rita Gribben is out of San Diego, and I'm forgetting her gym name right now. Forgive me, Rita, but she competed for us at Submission Underground 2 against Kira Batara at the time. So, and then Rita actually showed up a few shows ago with her significant other, and she did not compete, but she was there. It was when we were allowing a +1. And so it's nice to bring her back, and she's going to be competing. And obviously, she took the match on very short notice, and she's great to work with too. So it'll be fun.
I didn't know that fight was happening. I hadn't seen that one. So
Yeah, it's on the, yeah, I think it's the third match of the night. I'm telling you what, like you know, a lot of times I'm doing other things during the event, and so I don't always see every match, you know, which I wish I did, but I don't. And this one, I told Jill, I said, I want to watch this one for sure. Like every match I'm excited about. You know, we actually have a rare opener of purple belts, and we usually do not do purple belts. We used to, but that's been something that we've been trying to not do. We've been doing high level brown and black belts as much as possible. But Charlie Gilpin, this is his 6th appearance with us. He's a MMA fighter as well as great wrestler. And he's became a teacher's pet with Chael. I mean, Chael loves the guy, and John Simone actually trains at Chael's gym, so he's very familiar with him too. He's a very wrestler and MMA oriented as well. And they're both purple belts, and I think they're both gonna be fun to kick off the show with, so we're excited about that.
I'm looking forward to that fight.
Yeah.
That's a good. Was it Charlie last event who is jumping up and so happy he got the win?
No, that was the first match of the night was Prokopos, Denny.
No, yes, that was it, Denny. Yes, that was so fun.
I was in the back watching TV with no audio, but I could hear everything. I'm like, oh my gosh, you know. And I texted Jill and I said, well, if that didn't start the show off right, I don't know what. I kind of felt bad for Stoner on that one. I'm like, geez. I did not, honestly, and I told Denny this later, I did not realize that Denny had not competed in so long. I didn't realize that he had such a long hiatus. He immediately asked for Rumble Johnson.
Oh, damn.
I swear, he came and sat down next to me and he says, I want Rumble next. And I said, what?
Oh.
Okay. He goes, well, you do matches like that here. And I said, we do. Yes. I mean, you're at the right place.
Okay. So that's something to look forward to next year.
I don't know if he's gonna get that. I don't know if he'll get that, but he did request it. So we'll see. We'll see.
Mm.
I can't say yes to all of them. I assure you. So, but we got a lot of David versus Goliath type requests. You know, Anthony Johnson's lost a lot of weight, as we saw in the cage last Sunday.
Mm.
But I remember when he was up against Craig, I posted his weight on Twitter. That's all. Nobody else's weight. It was such a mean thing to do. But I said Anthony Johnson has now weighed in at 240. I remember it was 240, and oh my god, that tweet went viral. I think Ariel Hawani shared it. I mean, it was not. And Anthony's like, really, really, really.
I think it was good that you posted it, because I think people might have thought he might be heavier, but
Oh my god,
huge.
Hey, yeah. There's a picture floating out around there that our photographer took, and Craig is looking at Anthony like, "What have you been doing? Like, what?"
I think he did you, and he did Quintet, and in both events he was just
big.
huge.
Yeah.
And it was weird, because it was the time when you heard all the rumors that he's re-entered the you know, the USADA pool. So we're just everyone thinking, oh, he's getting to fight, he's gonna fight soon. And then you see him and like, what's happening with Rumble?
Well, that was like when Jones competed for, you know, John Jones. He comes in, and you know, we had live audience weigh-ins during our MMA show, you know, and he grabs his belly and he's like, "Thanksgiving was good to me." I'm like, wow, thanks for showing up in prime shape, you know. Still went out there and took off Dan Henderson's leg, but it's just.
Yeah, that was. Whoo. That was a fun fight.
Chael was so geeked out over that. So geeked out over it. He was so excited about it. He's like, I can't remember what number it was. I think he said it was like UFC 165 or something like that was being played back tonight. He's like, we're playing it back. I'm like, all right. He goes, the fight that didn't happen. I'm like, all right.
Well, yeah, that was a thing. We lost the UFC because that fight didn't happen. So the fact that you got to do that fight was huge.
He was so excited. Sometimes Chael just like, he has an idea and he just gets so excited about it. And it's like, okay, I'm right here with you. I mean, if he's excited about it, you got to be excited about it, you know? Like, okay, I'm here for it, you know?
Oh, man. So, yeah, I am definitely looking forward to Wednesday. I just can't wait. The fight card is incredible.
Thank you.
The fact that it came about in such short time is, that's crazy.
I'm impressed with it. I'm impressed with what we were able to do, like literally like on 3 days. I mean, we did that in 3 days or less, something like that. Yeah. 3 or 4 days. It was crazy. I told Chael, I said, don't get used to that. If you call me next week, I'm not answering the phone. Like, no.
I mean, you have set a precedent. You have done that now.
Well, I told him, I said, are you like checking this? Is this a test? Or like, am I being tested if I can do this weekly? You know, there was rumors floating around for a while that we were going to do a weekly show, and I'm like, you know, the photographer gets to show up to the event the day of the show, but I don't, you know. It's like, I got to do all the other stuff in before that, you know. It's like my job the day of the show is just to pay people. That'd be nice, you know. So it's a lot, but it's worth it, and the show goes on. So
indeed. Well, you were one of the events that continued. You know what I mean? You were the first. You came back. Was it a week before, a few weeks before UFC? So yeah, you've been rolling all the way through, which definitely was big. It was big. You know, being able to hit on Fight Pass and watch something was great.
I remember Chael saying, I think we're the only sport in the world right now on TV. I remember him saying that because it was a couple weeks before the UFC came back, and he's like, we're literally like the only live action sport happening right now. And I'm like, you sit there and you think about that, and it's like, wow,
Mm.
that's crazy. And we got a lot of heat for it, man. We got a lot of heat for that first couple of shows, but and now everyone's like, oh, you guys are heroes. I'm like, okay, cool. That's a nice turnaround.
Well, it's weird, right? Because you came back, UFC came back, and everyone was talking so much craziness. Like
Yeah.
you're putting people's lives at risk. You don't
Yep.
care. You're
Yep.
evil. You're in it
Yep.
for the money.
Yep. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But right,
We
then
had people
Dana
trying
put out
to.
his video last week, and then
Mhm.
everyone's saying, "Oh, that's disgusting. You shouldn't be patting yourselves on the back." And the
Yep.
crazy thing is, whenever I hear people talk about, COVID events, they're always like, "Yeah, no." So the NBA really showed everyone how to do it, and it's just like, wait, what?
Yeah.
No, 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 no,
Yeah.
no. The
Always
NBA
got
was
the
not
credit.
first.
Always. I
Like, what are
know.
you talking about?
I get
No,
offended too. Thank you. I get offended. I'm like, hey,
yeah,
I've been
and
here the whole time.
and this is the thing about I feel about Dana's video, right? Not many of the media who came out talking everything they were talking, they haven't come out since and gone, you know what, we got it wrong. Like these people did it well, right? No, they haven't done that. Some people have, not everyone. And so I feel,
People are scared right now of the public. I mean, they're just scared, and we just, some people have told us no, like I said. Some people message us and think, that we're horrible, but for the most part, we become, cult heroes, during this pandemic, and you got to ride the wave. I mean, Chael said, the show goes on, and I said, are you sure? And he says, it's going on. And I said, okay. And I'll tell you what, that first that first show, when we went off air after the show was over, there was a collective sigh of relief. Like, I don't know if I've ever seen Chael show those kind of emotions. I probably shouldn't even talk about it, but he walked out of his little commentary room, and there was just like we did it. And we just all kind of applauded, and it was like, okay, we did it. And then it was like, well, we're gonna do it again. Okay. So yeah.
yes, they've been, they've been fun events. And look, we see the people cleaning the octagon.
Yeah.
You understand. So yeah, it's like I don't think anyone imagines that it's just, all right, we're pulling people off the street. Oh, you're going fighting, and no,
There's so many precautions we're taking. So many. Yeah. It's annoying, honestly. It is what it is,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely different. A lot of people are like, I can't wait till you can have audience shows again. And I'm telling you, there's kind of this collective thought of do we want to do audience shows again? It's been kind of fun being on Sug Island. It's been kind of fun, just having Chael in a room talking, and
Yeah, no,
wow.
there is that thing about seeing. I mean, I guess Craig might have wanted an audience show. You wouldn't have heard the noise, but you hear everything, and that's fun. The whole interaction with Craig and Vinny, right?
Yeah.
You heard it all, because it's just like you're watching it, like, wait, what's happening? And then suddenly it's over, and you're like, wait, what? But you heard a lot of that interaction, and with an audience, you wouldn't have put that up.
Yeah. No, that's true. I didn't even think about that, but yeah, and a lot of people wouldn't have, it's like a lot of people wouldn't have heard those kind of interactions. I mean, can you imagine if we did that tag team match with those, now with no audience? Oh my God. You would have heard everything that Vinny said to Nikki Rod. You would have like, no, cut the mic. It's a family-friendly show. So yeah, it's wild. I mean, we've had a definite if we've ever found our stride, we're finding it right now. And you know, there's a slight fear that I carry that when things get back to normal and things open up again, people will forget, you know, but I don't think so, because I
No.
think we're really finding that stride. I mean, we're, you know, and as long as we're staying active, which we are, we have a full
Mm.
schedule next year. I mean, I think we're actually going to come out on top a lot. So it'll be.
Yeah. Look, I kind of feel that, you know, you kept going, right? You
Hmm.
kept going and the events were great. It
Hmm.
wasn't like they were just like, oh, I guess these are the best people they could get. You know, you had
Yeah,
high level events,
exactly.
right?
We've actually gotten a lot more people that we normally might not have gotten because of
And
COVID, you know?
yeah. And right now, you know, like Eddie has gone over just to combat jujitsu,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So I think there's a clear path for you guys.
Yeah.
And you're
Yeah.
different from Polaris and some of the other events happening.
Hmm.
You're on Fight Pass. There's in the
Hmm.
UK, right? Watching jujitsu is hard. Like, you know, like it's so good for Fight Pass because,
Yeah.
like, I don't know how else you get to watch it, really.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so having you guys, Polaris, and you know, see Combat Jiu-Jitsu on Fight Pass is great. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
they've added a couple of other things, but yeah, like you've been there all the way through, so now
Mhm.
you're kind of synonymous for grappling, right? So
Yeah.
I don't think people, I wouldn't imagine there's going to be a fall, you know,
Yeah.
you know, when crowds come back, because
Hmm.
you've been there all the way. So people, it's right or
We've
die,
been consistent.
you know what
Yeah.
I mean?
We've been consistent. Yeah. Yeah. We've been consistent. So it's, you know, it's exciting to see the progress. It's exciting to see, you know, the more we grow, the more we capture the interest of people that we normally wouldn't have, you know, before, you know. And I mean, you couldn't have, if you'd asked me about names last year and you had said Cerrone, I was like, yeah, no way. You you know, I mean, there's a lot of names that come to mind, not just MMA, but yeah, it's been awesome. So it's been really cool to have such amazing talent in both, you know, their respective sports, you know, in the cage, and you know, making the shows happen, flying people in, flying them back out, and you know, it's exciting. It's exciting to see the fans get excited about it. You know, it's right now the world is the way it is, and there's not a lot of things to be happy and positive and exciting about. You know,
Yeah.
just be happy that your health is good. You know, and you know the economy is the way it is, and I mean, heck, Fight Pass is, God, what was our show? $5 last month, or not last month, last weekend, and it's technically free, you know, on Wednesday if people do the trial, you know. So
Mm.
it's, you know, that's cool. I mean, if you don't have Fight Pass and you do a free trial right now, I mean, it's free to watch. So
Well, and also, if you don't have Fight Pass, what the hell are you doing, people? Right? Like the
what do you
amount of events
know?
you can watch on Fight Pass is it's great. I got it
Mhm.
for myself for my birthday a few years back, and
Yeah,
it is just, you know, being able to
so
watch.
much content. Yeah,
It's awesome. So
yeah,
yeah, I'm very glad that, you know, submission is on there.
it's wonderful being on it for sure.
Mm. So what time do people need to tune in next Wednesday?
It's actually the same time as usual. I mean, the only difference is it's a Wednesday, so it's 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 6 p.m. Eastern. I don't know what it is in the UK. People always ask me that, and I'm like, I don't know what the time difference is. I'm like, check
Yeah,
your
I
see my
get
phone. I
caught
have no
out with
idea.
the time all the time. Like I
Yeah,
sometimes tune in late and have to rewind and be like, "Grr," it's like, wow, God damn it, it started already? What's happening? Ah.
right, right. That's funny. Yeah, I don't know. People ask us all the no messages. What time is it in this country? I'm like, I don't know. But but yeah, so it's exciting. I mean, it's nice to be on Fight Pass. It's nice to reach all these different audiences, and it's nice to give something back to the fans, you know, during this whole crazy year. So I'm glad that we're doing it on Wednesday, even if it's a little crazy for me to do it on Wednesday, but it's okay.
It's a good treat before you know, the
Truly
new
the last
year
one of the year.
starts. So it's a good way to end things off.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people have a lot of people get New Year's off or whatever, and
Mm.
it's a good thing to do for the fans before they start drinking, you know, and you know, cheers. So,
Exactly, exactly.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so what are the sites where can people follow everything that's going down?
Yeah, so our website is cagedpromotions.com, and that will take you to all of our promotions that we have, including, of course, Submission Underground, Rumble at the Roseland, as well as Wrestling Underground. Um, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, we're all on there for Submission Underground. I think on Twitter I think it's SUG and then underscore grappling, because I could not put Submission Underground on their little Twitter handle, unfortunately. But you'll find it under Submission Underground for Facebook and Instagram. So, yep. And then, of course, where you need to be is UFC Fight Pass. So, yep. Download the app, 14-day free trial. I think it's UFCFightPass.com or UFC.tv, but you'll find it. So, yep. So we're running it.
Hey, that's great. I
Yeah.
really appreciate all your time. Like,
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
this has been a good insight into the world of submission and what
It's
goes
there.
into putting all of this
Yeah.
stuff together.
My pleasure, my pleasure. It's nice to answer the questions and kind of explain things that I can't always explain in a Twitter post, you know.
Yeah.
All the fans like say things and it's like, no, it's really not like that. But if you respond to every single fan, then you don't have time for anything. So so yeah. But no, I appreciate the interview. I very much, and it's a nice distraction for me from this other work I need to do. I see a few text messages, so it's probably from the boss man himself. But yeah,
Ah,
we got people flying in already tomorrow. So
oh, damn. Okay.
yeah, it's happening. Yeah, yeah. I'm like, wow, it's happening, but it's exciting. So
Awesome.
yes,
Well, yeah, I'm yeah, looking forward to the event and what you have in store for 2021. So
thank you.
yeah, I will definitely be waiting with bated breath, as they say.
All right. Well, we'll be here.
Splendid.
All right.
All
Thank
right.
you, Kevin.
Thanks a lot, Eva.
All
Much.
right. We'll talk to you later.
All
Bye
right.
bye.
Bye.